Hello and welcome to IDS on IUSTV. I'm Michael Norman alongside Nathan Brown, alongside Nolan Blair of IUSTV and Sarah Gurian. Thanks for joining us, guys, for our first edition of IDS on IUSTV. Here talking about IU's loss to Wisconsin, a tough, hard-fought battle against Wisconsin here at Assembly Hall. Just didn't have it today, guys.
No, they certainly didn't. And the overall theme, I think, is just they missed a bunch of shots. They missed 34 shots, and I think that's the key factor that everyone's talking about. And when it came down to the crucial parts, Indiana did not step up and hit those big shots.
If you want to really look at just where it started, even in the first half, IU pulls away with a 1-point lead at halftime. But it was all on the back of Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller had 18 points in the first half, but the rest of the team just could not get it going. They scored 32 or 33 points in the first half, I believe, and the rest, that was all on Cody Zeller's back. If you're going to look at where it started, it was early. It wasn't like they were missing shots just at the end of the game like they did against Minnesota. It was just an overall, just a poor effort, I guess, shooting the ball. And as Cody Zeller said after the game, sometimes the basketball just doesn't go in for you.
No. I think that, that strong first half from Zeller almost kind of masked, the impact that Wisconsin really was having there in the first half. They'd been able to take away that IU mid-range shot. Sheehy went his second game without scoring any points. It was a tough game for IU to deal with the half-court offense that Wisconsin was requiring them to play only, I think, 3 points in the transition offense. It was really just a tough game. And Zeller, played strong in the first half, only 5 points in the second half. And they were really just kind of able to come out and kind of take the one thing that IU was doing well away.
Guys, this was a Tuesday night game, but still one of the most raucous crowds that Assembly Hall has had all game. As we saw throughout the game, it seemed as if Wisconsin started to feed on that energy more so than even the Hoosiers. And you know what? It was kind of as if it was like a game.
After the three-pointers, there was a new one every time. And Sarah, I think 0-11 in the Tom Crean era against Wisconsin. What is happening? Why is Indiana not able to beat Wisconsin?
I don't know what it is. You'd think being the number 2 team in the nation, Wisconsin's unranked. This should not have been that hard for the Hoosiers to really come on top. But they're in Assembly Hall. You have a crazy crowd. You really don't have an explanation other than Bo Ryan just knows what's going on in Tom Crean's head. And he slowed down that offense. And most teams can't do that. It's very difficult. But somehow they did it. And I don't know. That crowd was just sad sometimes. It was just really depressing.
And Mike, a lot of talk about the officiating. What were your thoughts on that officiating? A lot of upset fans. Even the bench was very upset. A lot of screaming. What was your take on the officiating?
Nolan, I'm not going to lie. I think this was the most BS chants I have ever heard in Assembly Hall. And even in the first 5-10 minutes, the crowd was energized, but almost in somewhat of a negative way. And you can make what you want out of the calls. I thought there might have been 1 or 2 questionable calls there, but it's basketball. There's going to be calls like that. There's going to be people getting upset with calls, whether you're on one side or the other. Everybody can't be happy about a certain call. But I kind of thought that Assembly Hall's energy, especially, how it was negative in the first half, almost kind of hindered IU. Almost made them seem as if they should be getting these calls because they're at Assembly Hall.
A lot of whining.
A lot of whining.
Players, coaches, and even the fans.
And you know what? You just can't do that, especially against a team as sturdy and steady as Bo Ryan's Badgers are. Bo just knows how to coach well in a big environment like this. And you know what? The Badgers really showed it tonight.
Yeah. They did. They came in, I think, with a little bit of cockiness with the 10 straight losses that they had or 10 straight defeats of IU. And you could tell, as this crowd got frustrated, as the calls kind of went their way, especially in the second half when they were building their lead, they were feeding into it. They were, interacting with the crowd, and I think that was kind of pumping them up, and they were able to, withhold a couple short IU runs that they were able to muster up in the second half and really just, keep the slow pace of the game, frustrate the fans, and IU just didn't have it tonight.
Just was not the night for the Hoosiers, but luckily for IU, they get a little bit of time off before returning to the court Sunday against Northwestern. That'll be,
We'll be there,
yeah, you guys will be there. Nathan will be there as well, and we look forward to covering this game. It should be a good one up in Evanston, but you know what? Tonight, Hoosiers fall 64-59 against the Wisconsin Badgers. Fall to second place in the Big Ten Conference, sit at 3-1. But guys, what's going to be key moving forward into this Northwestern game, and how's IU going to improve upon this?
I think it's going to be crucial for the bench to really step up. They've had minimal points. They really need to step up and come in when they need to be, because usually they're a pretty deep team, and although we have the injuries, or they have the injuries, they really need to step up, because without them, there's not going to be any hope to really, really beat the Big Ten Conference teams.
And I think it's going to be crucial to play 40 minutes of good offense. And we haven't seen that definitely didn't see that against Minnesota in the later stages, and certainly didn't see that tonight.
No, yeah, I think this is a good matchup for IU going in on Sunday. It's an away game. They get to play, in some away Big Ten atmosphere. May be a little difficult for them at times. They play a Northwestern team that's not a top tier Big Ten team, but certainly one that can frustrate really any Big Ten team at times. We've seen how difficult those conference road wins are, no matter who you're playing, no matter where you're playing. I think this will be a good test. I think it'll be one that IU can really come out and prove the kind of team that they really are. I think it really is crucial on Sunday to play a full 40 minutes of basketball, because we've haven't seen that very much from them this season, and I think they need to start getting into that, because we've seen how good this IU team really can be at times, like the first half against Minnesota, but we've also seen how much it needs to improve, and I think we need to see those improvements, and hopefully they'll be able to do that this week.
Well, that will do it for us here from Assembly Hall. Thanks for joining us. It's a late night tonight.
There we go.
But we're burning the midnight oil, as they say. But this will also do it for our first edition of IDS on IUSTV. For all your Hoosier sports needs, you can watch IUSTV and Hoosier Sports Night. Great programming there. And then you got
Mike's a common guest on that show.
I love coming on. You guys treat me well. You gave me the big boy chair, the recliner. But you can also check out the IDS website for all your Hoosier sports needs. And we'll see you next time from Northwestern.